Okay, in this video, we are going to essentially do exactly what we did yesterday, but instead of integers, we're going to expand into using more rational numbers, and we will be working with decimals today as well. Let me just be setting a little bit to, not that much, to make it more seeable. Okay, Alright, cool. Yesterday we added and subtracted using integers, and I had a method behind my madness with that will hopefully make more sense to you today. Before we go on, I'm not going to forget the page number this time. This is page 5 in our binders this year. So first we're going to rewrite our problems and we're going to stack the numbers. It is important that when we add and subtract that we are lining up the decimals. We're going to line up the decimals, and if there's any blanks, we're going to fill the blanks in with zeros. That'll make more sense in a moment. So that means when we have something like 4.5 plus 6.3, I'm going to rewrite that 4.5 on top, 6.3 on bottom. It doesn't matter which one. And then I'm going to add. Okay. Then we're going to add and subtract like place values, going from this is different, right to left. This is different because normally you always go left to right like you're reading a book. But when we're working with adding and subtracting with things stacked on top of each other, also with multiplying, we work our way from the right number to the left number. Okay. This says step 3. I'm going to make this a 4-step one, really. We're going to follow our integer rules when signs are involved. So with the same signs, we're going to combine them, and with different signs, we'll find the difference. So we're going to have to ask which one is more. Do we have more positives or more negatives? Remember, on a number line, positives go to the right and negatives go to the left. So if you had a box, which way would the box go? Would it have gone left or would it have gone right at the end? Looking at that first example, we've got 4.5 plus 6.3, and we've lined up the decimals. So the decimal will be right here in my answer. We've got 5 plus 3, which is 8. The decimals lined up, and then 4 plus 6, which is 10. Carry the 1, there's nothing beneath that to add, so then just add a 1. So 4.5 plus 6.3 is 10.8. Looking to the right of that, we've got negative 2.5 plus 10.7. So we're going to have to follow our integer rules when there's signs involved. Negative 2.5 goes left, and positive 10.7 goes right. So those are different signs, which means we're going to actually subtract. So I'm going to stack these up, and I'm going to subtract. So I want the larger number on top. So I have 10.7 minus 2.5, and that's what the decimal is. So the 5 goes underneath the 7, and the 2 goes underneath the 0. And I want to subtract because those signs are going in different directions, so we're finding the difference. 7 minus 5 is 2. I'm going from right to left. 7 and 5 are on the same place value, so I'm adding the like place, or I'm subtracting the like place value from the right. I can't take 2 from 0, so you'd have to borrow from the 1 next door to the right of that, but if I did that, we'd have just another 10. We know what 10 minus 2 is, that's 8. Okay, and then our decimals between 8 and 2. So 8.2 is the number for our difference there, but now we need to know which sign is it going to have. The 2.5 was going to the left, and the 10.7 was going right. So if we're going left 2 times and right 10 times, the final direction would be going to the right, which means this is a positive 8.2. And I've got 4.5 minus 6.3 if I circled all of my terms. Now I've got an adding problem with 4.5 being positive, so it goes to the right. Negative 6.3 is negative, it goes to the left. Those are different directions, so I'm going to have a subtracting problem. So I'll have 6.3 minus 4.5. Okay, and just so I don't forget my sign later, I know that the 6.3 is larger than 4.5, and 6.3 was going left, so the final direction would be going left, which means our answer has to be negative. Here I'm trying to take 5 from 3, and I can't do that, so we're going to borrow from the next place value over. So I'm going to take a whole 1, so this 6 becomes a 5, and now this is, instead of 3/10, this is 13/10. So 13/10 minus 5/10, or 7/10. Now I've got 5 minus 4, which is 1. Remember we said our answer, our difference was going to be negative because the final direction was going left. So 4.5 minus 6.3 is negative 1.7. Looking at the problem to the right of that, we've got 2.5 minus negative 6.5, and minus a negative really made it a positive. We're adding. 2.5 is to the right of 0, 6.5 is to the right of 0. So our final direction, since those are both going the same direction, is also going to be going to the right or positive. Since these are the same direction, I get to actually add. We could have 2.5 on the top and then 6.5 as the bottom. And then we just add like normal. Well, 5 plus 5 is 10, so a 0 goes underneath the tenths place. It was 10 though, so we're going to put the 1 over the next tens over, which is the ones place. So now I've got 6 plus 2 plus 1. 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I've got 9.0, and we did say that this was going to be positive because the final direction was going to the right. Looking at the next row of numbers, circling all of my different terms, I've got negative 1.8 plus negative 1.6. Those signs are different, which means it's not going to be I don't have to change that to be plus or positive. Negative 1.8 is to the left of 0. That really is a negative 1.6, which is going to the left of 0. So the final direction will be going left, and I get to add these numbers because they're going in the same direction. So we have 1.8, 1.6, and I'm going to add them. 8 and 6 makes 14. So I drop the 4 underneath the tenths place, but I carry the 10 part of that to the next tens place over, which is in the ones. Now I've got 1, 1, and 1, which is 3. So now I've got 3.4. Because my final direction is going to the left, this is a negative 3.4. Okay, now we've got 8.2 plus negative 17.6. I've got 8.2 and then plus negative 17.6. 8.2 goes to the right of 0, plus a negative really just means negative, so this is to the left of 0. So these arrows are going in different directions, so we want to find the difference, which you guys know means to minus. So we're going to have 17.6 minus 8.2. And I'm going to actually think this visual might help some of you a little bit better. Okay. If I have them minus sign out to the outside of a little further to the left, right, whatever direction this is. And then underneath the 1, there's nothing there with 8.2, so I'll fill in a 0 in that spot. So I've got 17.6 minus 8.2, so 8.2. Well, 6 minus 2 is 4. We cannot take 8 from 7. So what we're looking at is 8 from 17. And 17 minus 8 is 9. Now I have to know, is this a positive or negative answer? We had 8.2 going to the right, but 17.6 went to the left. So this is more going to the left, and the left is negative. So we've got negative 9.4 as our final answer. To the right of that question, we have a negative 2.9 and negative 1.6. Negative 2.9 is to the left of 0, negative 1.6 is to the left of 0. So what I've got here are two arrows going in the same direction, which means I get to combine or add the 2.9 and the 1.6. 9 plus 6 is 15, so the 5 is what I'd write down, and then I have to carry the other stuff to the tens place over. So that's in the 1 spot now, so I've got 15, right? 9 plus 6 is 15. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 more is 4. And both of those arrows were going to the left, and so I combined them, but that also means that I'm combining all the negative things for more negative things. So this is going to be a negative 4.5. Now we've got 8.2 minus 1.9, sorry, minus negative 1.9. So we've got 8.2 and then minus a negative 1.9. Remember, minus negative, minus means to go left, but negative means just change whatever direction that was. So we're going to the right, which is really adding. So we get to combine 8.2 and 1.9. I'm going to put the 1.9 on top this time just to change things up a little bit. I'm going to add that. I've got 9 plus 2, which is 11. This is the 1's place from the 11. This is the 10's place from the 11. 9 plus 2 was 11. Now I've got 1 plus 1 plus 8. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 plus 8 is 10. 8.2 was positive, and 1.9 minus a negative was a positive, right? 1.9. So those are both going to the right, which means 10.1 is going to the right, and this is a positive 10.1. Okay. We've got some more examples, lots of examples. We've got a negative 4.1 minus 6.8. Okay, I'm circling negative 4.1. Negative 4.1 is to the left of 0. Then I circle everything until the next minus plus sign, which is negative 6.8, which is also to the left of 0. Those arrows are going the same way, so I get to combine those numbers. 6.8 and 4.1 combine, meaning add. I've lined up my decimals. 8 plus 1 is 9. 6 plus 4 is 10. And the direction of both of those were to the left of 0 because they were negative, which means this is also going to be to the left of 0 or negative. I've got a negative 9.2 minus negative 7.4. Minus negative means plus or positive. Negative 9.2 goes to the left, positive 7.4 goes to the right. Those are different arrows, so I'm going to subtract those numbers. So I'll have 9.2 minus 7.4. I can't take 4 from 2 though. 4 is larger than 2. So I go to the next tens place over, and I'm going to say that I'm going to, take a whole 1. So I'm subtracting 1 from 9 to make 8. And now that 1, or 10 tenths, comes over here. 10 and 2 makes 12. So I'll have 12 minus 4, and 12 minus 4 is 8. There's the decimal, and then 8 minus 7 is 1. The arrows were going in different directions. I had a negative number and a positive number. That's why I had to find the difference. We went 7.4 to the right. We went 9.2 to the left. So the number going to the left was larger, which means our final answer has gone to the left. Our sum has gone to the left. So this is a negative 1.8. Now I've got negative 3.7 plus negative 6.5. Negative 3.7 goes to the left of 0. Plus negative is just a negative, so negative 6.5. Which means that also goes to the left of 0. Those arrows are going the same direction, so we get to combine them. We'll have 3.7 and 6.5 combining or adding. 7 and 5 make 12. 6 and 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Put the decimal down there. And both of those were going to the left, so our final answer is also going to the left, which means this is a negative 10.2. 9.0 plus negative 7.4. I'm circling 9.0, which goes to the right of 0. And then I'm circling plus negative 7.4, which is just plus negative means minus or negative. So that goes to the left. Those are going different directions, so I'm going to do a minus problem. I'm finding the difference, which means minus. So 9.0 minus 7.4. I can't take 4 from 0, but I can take 4 from 10, so I'm borrowing 10 tenths from the 9, which is really just 1. So I'm going to take away 1 from 9, which is 8. I've got 10 minus 4, which is 6. 8 minus 7, which is 1. Drop the decimal. Those arrows were pointing different directions. We were going 7.4 left, but 9 to the right. So the right was, we had more things going to the right, which means our final direction is going to the right. So this is a positive 1.6. We probably did not do a lot of these in class, just because if you're here watching, you're probably wanting more practice or more explanation, so I will continue on and do the other 2 rows of problems, but if you think you've got this, don't feel the need to continue watching. Okay. We've got 16.5 minus 12.4. 16.5 is to the right of 0, minus 12.4 is to the left of 0. Those arrows are going in different directions, so I know I need to find their difference, which means to subtract. So I've got 16.5 minus 12.4. 5 minus 4 is 1. 6 minus 2 is 4. 1 minus 1 is nothing, or 0. And then the arrows were facing different directions because the signs were different. We had 12 going to the left, but 16 going to the right. So going to the right is, our final answer goes to the right, which means this is a positive 4.1. Okay. Looking at the problem to the right of that, we have negative 11.8 minus negative 2.9. Negative 11.8 minus negative 2.9. That's adding, really, or plus. Negative 11.8 is to the left of 0, positive 2.9 is to the right of 0. The arrows are facing different directions, so I know we have to subtract. So I'll set up a subtraction problem, 11.8 minus 2.9, and I'm going to put a 0 underneath that missing blank, that way they all have the same number of digits. And I know I'm subtracting because the arrows were going in different directions, so I want to find their difference. I see I've got 8 minus 9, but I cannot take 9 away from 8. There's not enough. So we're going to take the 1's place. We're going to borrow 1 from it, making that 1 less. 1 less than 1 is 0. And this is going to make the 8 into an 18. Now 18 minus 9 is 9. There's the decimal. 0 minus 2. Again, you can't minus something that's not there, so I'm going to have to borrow again from the next tens place over, so I'm taking that 1 and I'm making it 1 less. So in the 10 spot, 1 minus 1 is 0, but that makes the 1 spot 10. Now I've got 10 minus 2, which is 8, and then I have 0 minus 0, which is 0. I don't have to write the 0. So the difference between 11.8 and 2.9 was 8.9. We had almost 3 going to the right, but almost 12 going to the left. So the left direction is where our 8.9 is going, and the left is negative on a number line. So 8.9 is negative there. Here I see negative 15.6, which is to the left of 0, plus negative 14. Those two signs are different, so it's just going to stay as a negative, which is to the left of 0. Since those are going in the same direction, those signs are the same, I'm combining them or adding. So I can say 15.6 plus 14.0. 6 plus 0 is 6. 5 plus 4 is 9. 1 plus 1 is 2. I've just forgotten to write the decimal. Those arrows were both going to the left, so our final number is going to be going to the left of 0, which is negative. Here I've got a negative 11.8 plus a 3.3. negative 11.8 is to the left of 0, 3.3 is to the right of 0. Those arrows are going different directions, so I want to find their difference. To find the difference, I'm going to say what's 11.8 minus 3.3, and I'm going to remember to line up the decimals. I'm going to put a 0 underneath the tens place 1 there. All right, 8 minus 3 is 5. There's the decimal. 1 minus 3, I can't minus what I don't have, so we're going to have to borrow. Although what that's going to do for us is make this 1 into 11, which we'd already have. So 11 minus 3 is 8. So I know that the difference between 11.8 and 3.3 is 8.5. We had 3.3 going right. We had 11.8 going left. So the direction of the 8.5 is to the left of 0, which is negative. And now our final row of 4 problems. We've got negative 4.7 minus negative 3.6. Minus a negative makes a plus or a positive. I've got negative 4.7, which goes to the left of 0. Positive 3.6, which goes to the right of 0. Those arrows are facing different directions, so I'm finding the difference between 4.7 and 3.6. So 4.7 and 3.6. I want to find the difference, which means to subtract. So 7 minus 6 is 1, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So the difference between 4.7 and 3.6 is 1.1. We were going 4.7 to the left and 3.6 to the right. So the final direction of 1.1 is to the left of 0, which is negative. I've got 15.7 plus 9.2. Sorry, negative 15.7 plus 9.2. Negative 15.7 is to the left of 0. 9.2 is to the right of 0. Those arrows are going different directions, so we need to find the difference between 15.7 and 9.2, and the difference means to subtract. So I've got 15.7 minus 9.2. I need to be sure I'm lining up my decimals and telling you that I'm lining up my decimals. So the decimals are in the same spot. That means that the 10th spot 2 is in the same place as the 10th spot 7. The 1's place 9 is in the same as the 1 spot 10 or 5. And then there's nothing underneath that. Okay. So we've got 7. We're subtracting because we're finding the difference between those two numbers. So 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 minus 9 is not possible. We'd be taking more than we have. So I'm going to look at borrowing 1. The next spot over already is a 1, so I can think of what is 15 minus 9, or 6. Okay, so now I've got 6.5. We were going 15.7 to the left and 9.2 to the right. 15, there was more going to the left. So our final direction is to the left of 0, or negative 6.5. Now I've got negative 3.7 minus 10.7. So negative 3.7 minus 10.7. Negative 3.7 is to the left of 0. Negative 10.7 is to the left of 0. So since those arrows are going the same direction, I get to combine them. So I've got 10.7 and 3.7. And when I add them, I'm putting a 0 underneath the 10th spot in 3.7 because they didn't have one. I'm just making sure that each number has the same number of digits. So I've got 7 plus 7, which is 14. So I'm writing down the 1's place 4 and carrying the 10's place over to the next 10's over. So now in the 1's place, I've got 1 plus 0 plus 3, which is 4. Now I'm going to the next 1 spot over, which is 1 plus 0, which is 1. So 3.7 and 10.7 combined is 14.4. Those were both negative, which means our final sum is negative. So this is a negative 14.4. Now we've got our last problem here is 3.3 plus 12.8. So we've got 3.3 lining up the decimal. So right behind the decimal is an 8. Right in front of the decimal should be a 2. And I am adding those. 3 plus 8. Oh, I'll put a 0 in the 10's place. That way each number has the same amount of digits. So 3 plus 8 is 11. I'm going to carry the 1 to the next 10 spot over. 3 plus 1 plus 2 is 6. And then 0 plus 1 is 1. Forgot the decimal. I didn't draw arrows or even circle these terms because this was just a positive number added with another positive number. This visual helps us a lot with determining the sign, but when we see a problem that we've known how to do for a while, we don't have to do all the extra work for it. If we wanted to see that though, we'd circle the 3.3, we'd circle the plus 12.8. 3.3 is positive, so it's to the right of 0. 12.8 is positive, to the right of 0. Arrows are going the same direction, so I can combine those numbers, which means add. I've combined the numbers and got 16.1. Both of the numbers were going to the right, so the final sum is going to the right, which means this is a positive 16.1. This was page 5 in our binder. This was just notes on adding and subtracting decimals, which is identical to adding and subtracting integers, except for you have to remember to line up the decimal that you're working with in both of the numbers. Page 6 in your binder, this is page 6 in your binders, is your homework. There are, just 10 problems on adding and subtracting decimals. So, I'm not going to go over any of these. I do want to remind you that if you see minus a negative number, that really means 2 plus or positive, because minus means to go left, but the negative means change the direction, so now we're going to the right, which is adding. If you have further questions, comments, concerns about this video with your notes or assignment, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can get me in a Schoology message, an email, or catch me before or after school or class.